What's happening, good people? Lighting. Okay, whatever. The message is what matters. And that's the camera over there. How you doing? This video is about sex. Sex and the importance of good sex, like holistic sex. So I want to jump right into it. Men, stop fucking. Stop nutting all the time. Yeah, I just said that. Reason why? Because especially as you get older, over the age of 40, your testosterone levels naturally start to drop. And when you ejaculate, which is typically how the sex act ends in most scenarios, there's actually vital life force that you're expending. And that causes your testosterone to drop even more. So that's one of the things that I recently rediscovered. I had learned about that some time ago when I was reading about Tantra and Taoist sexual practices and the importance of a man being able to retain his semen. Because it's like if you look at it from a historical point of view, typically in ancient cultures, men only ejaculated. It wasn't really for pleasure. And that's the other part to it that's maybe shocking, is that really sex is more for women than it is for men. So a lot of times people, when they hear about a guy having several wives, people just wig out in Western society like, oh, he's a freak or he's a pervert or, you know, and nothing could be further from the truth, because if it's done from a truly spiritual point of view, like I think Brother Polite said in one of his videos recently, when he was on that one radio show, he said a lot of times people think he has a lot of sex because he has four wives. He said most monogamous men have more sex than he does. It's a lot of energy that's expended during sex. And women, that is actually a woman's domain. Sex is a woman's domain. Be clear on that. So, no man alive can keep up with a woman's sex drive. Even if you practice Tantra or Taoist sexual practices, you'll be more proficient. You'll be able to retain your semen and not have you may still have the urge to ejaculate, but you won't necessarily have to go there because you'll have that skill down. Um, that's the other part that a lot of times, people don't want to look at that. There's no man alive that can keep up with a woman's sex drive. So, women get re-energized by sex. Women absorb a man's essence in the sex act. Women are connected to a man's personality energetically, especially if there's no condom, if there's no thing that kills the conductor of that electrical current, like a rubber would. So it's like if you're talking about, just having sex, I don't even like to say unprotected because it sounds dirty or something. But if you're having sex without a condom, you're forming psychic bonds with the people that you have sex with. You're having energetic exchanges that occur in that process, which is not altogether bad. The main point is you want to be very careful of where you give your energy out and who you give your energy out to, because that can have everything to do with, screwing with your emotions and everything else. So it's something to really be looked at as sacred, or at least that's the way I look at it based on, reading about Tantra. And more specifically, I've read more so about Taoism, which I tend to be a little more aligned with. Nevertheless, one of the things that I'm committed to taking on personally is actually practicing with a actual practitioner, Taoist or tantric practices going forward, because sex is life, and you can either use it to destroy or you can use it to build. You can use it to create, create a new life. There's a lot of power in that act, and that goes without saying. So the main point is to really be intentional. And, as I like to say at this point in my life, especially because I look at the whole money aspect of relationships, because no relationship is balanced without money. And, I went to this workshop recently and they talked about the cost of raising a child. And when I was in the workshop, I was just like sitting there thinking to myself, man, if more people were more intentional when they went into their relationships, a lot of pain and suffering could be avoided, right? So it's like if you went into it saying, yo, what are we doing? Are we fuck buddies, or, you know what I'm saying? Are we friends with benefits, or are we really about building a life together? How many children are we trying to have? We're trying to have one child. We're trying to have two children. What's the conversation around that? What's the cost going to be for that, right? And let's be real about it. Let's be really clear up front about what we're creating together. So, again, the purpose of this video was just to get into the importance of understanding some of the nuances and things about sex that you may not hear talked about in mainstream media or in mainstream publications. And if you get a chance, there's a book by Daniel Reed called The Tao of Health, Sex, and Longevity. That book was like my Bible for like 2 years straight. I could not put that book down. And even when I pick it up now, I find myself riveted to the pages to the point where I'm just like, okay, well, I'll just read a chapter and then, I'll be good. And then I end up reading another chapter again. That book is just on point from various points of view. I mean, the title really says it all. So, that said, fellas, be more, mindful of that and realize that, like they say, you get dumber when you have a lot of sex. I forget how they say it exactly. But in other words, when you nut, when you ejaculate, right, by having a lot of sex with a lot of different women, and what's it's called? I think it's cerebral spinal fluid, or it's fluid from the brain that's actually being, you literally, like they say, you get dumber. I think in the hood, that's how they kind of phrase it. You get dumber when you have a lot of sex or whatever, and you're screwing all the time, because that's vital life force. That's the essence of who you are as a human being that's being, released from the body. So, and when you get to like 40 and over, your testosterone levels start to naturally start dropping anyway. So that's all the more reason that if you're going to do a lot of screwing, and that's actually counterproductive, because Napoleon Hill talked about that in the Think and Grow Rich book, about how like during the years when men are chasing women, those are the years that a man should be putting his efforts or time and attention toward building wealth and creating businesses or having money, because that's essentially, it's kind of really the same energy. So, when you're younger, if you're going to do that in terms of a lot of ejaculation, do it then. But even then, if you can avoid it, it's a better thing to avoid it, and just focus on business, on entrepreneurship, on your job or career, if that's what you're in, and build a life for yourself. So when you attract a woman that you really love, you got a strong foundation to where you can keep her. And I had to learn that lesson the hard way. And I thought I had learned the lesson, but I didn't. Make sure you got enough in order in terms of your financial household so that you can build something on a strong foundation. And when you got a good woman, you want to keep her. And the same thing for you ladies. Health is achieved through proper sexual, intercourse. And at the same time, it can be one of the most destructive things on earth. So just really be focused on understanding that if you got a good mate, take a course together on Tantra, take a course together on Taoism. Look up the works of Mantank Chia. He has a book called Cultivating Male Sexual Energy, and he's got books specifically for women that talk about how to have multiple orgasms without ejaculation. That's a whole nother level of sexual practice. And one of the other things he talked about in his book as well is how, there's like 9 levels of orgasm, and most people only get to like level 4. So you can only imagine what might happen if you start going to levels 6, 7, 8, and higher with your mate. And so, even the guys that practice polygyny, having more than one wife, typically the ones that are really deep and hardcore, you might say, they practice tantra, or they practice Taoism. And it's a good practice whether you're monogamous, whether you're into polygyny or polygamy, whatever your practice is. It's a great thing to actually help your health and well-being, and to, again, keep your testosterone levels high. And also, ladies, this is the point you definitely want to be paying attention to. It's actually going to benefit him being able to take care of you in the bedroom more consistently, because he's not going to have issues with premature ejaculation or anything like that, because he has the control. And that's a whole nother level that, these two disciplines help you to achieve. So, and if there's a movie you're interested, if you're into movies, it's a movie that was made in 1985 called Bliss. And the actress that was the main actress in the film, her name is Cheryl Lee. And the guy that was her husband in the film, his name was, oh God, Schaefer something. And It was about this guy that was a controversial sex therapist that was helping them in their marriage, and the husband didn't know about it at the time. It's a great movie though. And so, in other words, if you're looking to take your intimacy to a whole nother level, if you're looking to really get healthy and strong, and sex is some of the best exercise on the planet done properly, and it's also one of the greatest healing modalities on the planet done properly, then get into, doing some research around that, and finding out what's there for you and your mate. So just wanted to shoot this quick video. Sex is what's that, like one of the most dominant things that people are focused on a day-to-day basis, and it helps if we're having sex that's more holistic and helping us to achieve more of what we most want with our partner, and having more of that intimacy, more of that love and affinity being present, on a more consistent basis, which is entirely possible, even in, as I like to call it, the Western world, the home of the matrix, with all of the stressors and everything else that's out here. That's still possible that we can have great intimacy, relatedness, and connectedness with the person that we love and care about. So, do yourself a favor, take care of you, take care of your partner, and have a great time together, discovering each other newly each day, because life is an adventure. So why cheat yourself? So take care of your health, and hope this video was of some value to you. And because it's a video about sex, it's a little longer than maybe a lot of my other videos would be. So that's it. Take care, folks. Be well.